Hello and welcome to Soul in Balance, the place to get your regular solar system news. And in this video, we will be going over the new moon in the magical and the mystical Pisces that will be happening on the 24th of February at 2:32 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you'd like to stay up to date with the cosmic weather, make sure you subscribe. So this new moon will be happening at 4 degrees of Pisces, which is right on my MC. So it's definitely a new start in my career. I have been gone for the last month or so. I have kind of gone on a bit of a Venus in the underworld journey in Egypt during the Pluto and Saturn conjunction. So in a way, I felt like I was just stripped of everything that I knew, everything that I needed in my thought that I needed in my life to feel beautiful and successful, and that I thought made me who I am, and to have it all stripped away and have to love myself from that point, was such a transitional time for me where I really had to go in and check myself. And I feel like all of us have been going through this at the moment, that everything, all the structures, everything that we thought we needed has been slowly ripped away from us, or even radically ripped away from us at, to some degree or another. And we've all had to just look within to, find that love for ourselves and keep moving forward and letting go of what we thought we needed and moving into a direction that is more fulfilling, a direction that is more on the soul path, and a direction that has more of a higher calling and what we need to be doing. Like it's very easy at this time to want to, hold on and to grasp all these, old dynamics, but the truth that we've had come through, the realizations that we've had, having to take a really deep look at our voids and our wounds to see what we've been doing and how we've been operating just to survive, and realizing that we don't actually need these things, and we've had to just let go of cycles of the way that we've coped, so we can move forward now. And that has been really, really tough in a way. We've all kind of gone into the underworld in a way to, find out what needs to change. And, with the sun moving into Pisces, it's like this beautiful music calling us to move forward, even though there is destruction and chaos everywhere. And, this is also a magical time to be, putting those ideas out there, having faith that something better is coming. It's this just amazing feeling. This is such a magical time, and all we really need to be doing at this time is letting go. Not controlling the outcomes. I know it's very easy for the ego to want to grasp at, what we think we need to survive, or what we think we need to be who we are. But this is a time to be just letting go and surrendering to the truth, and moving forward into what feels right, and connecting to people and circumstances and situations that is part of our higher calling, that makes our heart sing, that just feels right. And especially with the North Node in Cancer, still at this point, still asking us to trust our feelings, go with our emotions. So we really need to be connecting to people and circumstances that really do feel right for us at the moment. So we are currently in Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and the energy at the moment is very, very scattered, very, what would you say? Very smoke and mirrors, very delusional energy, an energy that is just coming in and wanting to be on our own, wanting to sit there with our feelings and our thoughts, and, wanting to check how we've been operating, what we've been doing. Have we been going outside of ourselves for validation? You know, this is a time for understanding our internal love for ourselves, and where we've been just reaching for anything just to feel good about ourselves, especially as everything is collapsing. You know, we're kind of in some way taking it personally as if, you know, we're just not succeeding in life. We must be failing here, there, and everywhere because everything's, you know, falling down or coming to a stop. And that is not it at all. Everything is just coming to a halt or falling apart because that's not working. That is not serving us on a higher level. So we're all kind of just coming in and assessing, where does this come from? Where does this stem from? You know, understanding these dynamics that we couldn't really see before. So yes, you know, it is quite a difficult time. It's a confusing time. None of us really know what direction we're going. You know, it's just that we're just in some way just putting, you know, one foot in front of the other and, you know, hoping for the best, expecting a miracle. And, you know, that's all we can do at the moment. We just have to surrender to the process, surrender to what is going on. And look, you know, with Mercury in retrograde in Pisces, there is a lot of confusion. So it's just a time for just, you know, just ignoring the finer details of things and, you know, what's going on and what's falling apart. It's kind of just a time of just letting all the cards fall and just going inside and just reflecting of what's inside. It's a time of healing. It really is a time to be sitting with ourselves and checking in what's going on. You know, how can we change, you know, to be more loving towards ourselves? You know, we just don't validate ourselves enough. So this is definitely a time to be so kind to ourselves, to be saying beautiful things to ourselves so regularly, because at this time we can just get lost in chains of thought where we're going over and over and over in our heads of, you know, where we're not doing well, where things are going wrong. And it is a time of escapism, you know, with the Sun in Pisces and Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and, you know, we've also, and that's right next to Neptune as well. So it is a time of, you know, escapism where we could be using, you know, substances or food or just, you know, staying busy or anything just to avoid what needs to be felt. But at the end of the day, like, continuing to, you know, stay in these illusions or, you know, just escape what's going on is just going to be more traumatic for us in the end. So we may as well go through this process while, you know, the Sun's in Pisces, while this is such a healing time where there is magic to, you know, bring us out of these holes. So putting off what needs to be felt, putting off what we need to change just is not recommended at this time. We really do need to be just going in and reflecting. You know, when Mercury is retrograde, it means that it's full. It needs to start throwing off information, throwing off ideas and communication and situations that have happened so we can check what is real. So it's going to go back into Aquarius, which will go back over the last 2 weeks, or when it was shadow phase. I think it was 4th of February. So we're really just going back and reflecting on, you know, what's been happening, you know, what communications have we had, you know, what do we need to reassess, you know, what communications need to happen. But it really is a time of, once Mercury goes forward and out of shadow phase, we do maybe need to be having those conversations and redoing situations that maybe weren't done in the right way, you know, through the shadow phase and leading up to where we are now. So just a quick side note, with all this energy going on, especially with Mercury retrograde in Pisces and the Sun in Pisces, this can also trigger a lot of depression. A lot of, you know, feelings of anxiety, just, you know, manic behavior, because Pisces does represent, you know, mental health asylums. So if you are feeling really depressed, if you are not feeling okay, this is just the energy of the moment. And in a lot of ways, depression usually, I believe, comes out because we're not being our true selves. We're not honoring who we are in some way. And it's like our body and our mentality is just like, this is enough. I can't go any further anymore. Like, I'm being depressed. Who I am is being repressed. So we need to be kind of understanding that, you know, it is a time of feeling depressed, especially with all this emotional stuff, especially with our wounds being triggered, especially how we've been able to see what's going on and everything falling apart. You know, it is kind of normal to feel depressed at the moment, but then understanding it's really just calling us to be our authentic selves. So, you know, just know that this, you know, this will pass through, that is just a time of healing, and it's also a time of feeling really, really connected to people and circumstances. You know, people in our lives, we can really, really be feeling them at the moment, even if we're not even in communication. Maybe something has happened around the Mercury retrograde, and, you know, we're not talking to somebody who was really important to us or someone who was really special to us, but we can feel them on such an intense, energetic and emotional level. We can feel how they're feeling. They can probably feel how we're feeling. And even though we're not communicating, in a way we are communicating. We're still having that energetic exchange. So it might even, in a way, not even feel like we're not with them, that we're still talking to them and they're still completely with us in some way. So it really is just a, you know, a magical and mystical time. And, you know, I just think we just need to ride with the waves, and not try and control anything, not, you know, try and manipulate or try and get the outcomes that we want, because we're just not going to get them. And, you know, this is coming from an ego point of view, that we just want to, you know, hold on and have things our way, and, you know, so we don't have to feel any trauma or anything. But this is what's really being called of us, and especially with, you know, Mars squaring out to Chiron at this new moon, it's really saying, hey, you know, something needs to give here. You know, we really need to be paying attention to where we've been wounded. You know, Chiron in Aries is like a very primal wounding. It's like we're wounded within the self. And, you know, this is not a time to be skipping out on ourselves. You know, we really need to be coming home and saying, hey, this is where this is coming from. What structures do I need to let go of so I can really come in and really love myself, so then I can step out and be that full and fulfilled person without all these structures and attachments and, you know, situations that, you know, prop me up so I don't have to feel that void inside. So yes, it really is a time of just, you know, just coming in, understanding that it is a kind of depressing time. It is a time, you know, of feeling those low feelings. It is really healing, and, you know, so many things. Like, oh my God, this really is a magical new moon. So it's something that we really need to be taking advantage of at the moment. So there's a really super cool aspect that is going on at the moment for this new moon, which is half a grand sextile, which is pretty rare, pretty mystical. It doesn't usually happen very often. It kind of looks like a bowl. So with that in mind, we also have a T-square. So this is really creating some uncertainty, radical changes, you know, new direction, you know, some magic and things like that. So I thought that I would get a few cards for this reading. I'm going to get 4 cards, as the degree for this new moon is at 4 degrees of Pisces. So yes, just using the Doreen Virtue Mermaids and Dolphins deck. A lot of people don't use Doreen's cards anymore, but you know, I still think she's quite an amazing woman. Whether she is highly Christian right now is completely irrelevant. Doreen Virtue helped a lot of us, you know, awaken and, you know, become connected to ourselves. So I definitely still use this deck, and especially for Pisces season, there is not a better deck than this one for readings. So we have faith and tranquility. That is from Doreen Virtue's deck. And we have Radical Rebels. So hopefully just one card will fall out of here for this one. But yeah, so there is just so much uncertainty going on at the moment. It's just like, what direction do we go? You know, it's really a time for just taking a risk. you know, trying something new, just stepping into that uncertainty and just having faith. And, you know, I think a lot of people, you know, just have hope, but hope is just a wish. And, you know, how many times, you know, do wishes or hopes really happen? It's not something set. So I think at the moment, it really is a time for just having faith, just blind faith, because so much is uncertain. We can't see what's moving in front of us. So it's just really a time for faith. And the card we got is, oh, what do you know? Trust yourself. Okay, so the cosmic reading deck. But yeah, so look, I just want to apologize again for being missing in action the last month or so. I know I got a lot of messages and people contacting me saying, where are your videos? What's going on? We miss you. We miss your messages. So thank you so much to all the people that did message me. It was really, really helpful and something that I really needed to stay on track. So the next card we have is communication. And lastly, with the Gaia deck, but yeah, so over the last month in Egypt, it was just a massive radical time for me. Like where I was staying, you know, like there was no hot water. I got bitten by bugs or spiders on my face. I had my eyelashes glued together. I just had the most radical experiences. You know, realizations and truth come out, and just not being able to rely on the way that I looked or, you know, my ability to make things happen. It was just such a difficult time. So I really do, you know, understand how everybody's feeling, how everybody's lives in some way is just in chaos and, you know, falling apart, and we're really having to go inside and love ourselves there, because when so much is falling apart and when we're losing so much, you know, we start to, you know, think that it's our fault, that there's something wrong with us, and start to be really like, you know, self-destructing or not self-loving. So yeah, definitely at this time, you know, I can completely relate to everyone, and it might be a time where you have to just go offline, just be missing in action and, you know, find out who you are. Like I know even myself, I questioned whether I wanted to do astrology. I questioned, you know, what I was doing, whether I should be doing healing, you know, I just didn't know which direction to go. Everything just felt so meaningless and so hopeless. And I think somewhere in the chaos, in the darkness, when you're stripped from everything, all you can do is love yourself. And from that point, you kind of just, you know, find a direction and you get back on track. So that's definitely what's happened for me. So the final cards we have is the dream. Something is revealed, insight and breakthroughs, and ocean of eternal love, healing, creativity and fertility. Okay, so I'll go over what these mean. So tranquility. This is definitely what is needed at the moment with Mercury retrograde, with Pisces season. We really need to be coming in and just finding that tranquil and calming and, what would you say, releasing and healing time within ourselves. That can be, you know, making time to relax, be still, you know, enjoying solitude, indulging in much needed self-care. This is definitely a time for much needed self-care, and especially sleep. Just being with ourselves, getting enough sleep, because we are so super sensitive and so in tuned with everything. The energies and people can feel so harsh, and especially with the miscommunication what's going on with Mercury retrograde, it is just a time just to be coming into ourselves and reflecting and just being with ourselves, being self-loving. Okay, so then we have, again, have faith. So we need to be having faith in the process. There is so much uncertainty. There is so much going on. There is so much chaos. And all we can really have at this time is blind faith. Just put one foot in front of the other and believe in ourselves. Believe that what is our highest good is going to work out. And it's a time of, you know, having creativity and dreams and, just even radical ideas for ourselves that just seem so far-fetched. It's just a time just to have some blind faith in that, because hey, if it's part of your soul direction, if it's part of your higher self and the direction you're headed, you probably get that. So at this time, realistically, if things aren't working out, we know straight away, it's not working, let it go. It really is a time of just endings and releasing and surrendering. Pisces season is about ending cycles, coming to a completion. There's a lot of relationships at the moment are ending because it's the end of that karmic cycle. It's the end where we need to transform and step into the new earth, the new way of doing things. So a lot of the relationships that have, ended and, been in our lives the last maybe 2 years or as of last year are really just fizzling out because they serve their purpose. They serve their purpose of growth and understanding, and we can still love and wish these people and these circumstances well, but at the end of the day, we do really need to be releasing and stepping into the new. Okay, so then we have trust yourself. So we're needing to be definitely trusting our emotions. Where is the collective soul journey in Cancer, and what is Cancer? Our emotions, what feels like home. We need to be going in the direction of what feels like home, what feels right for us, what makes us feel good inside. We need to be trusting that and going with the process. And, that means letting those emotions come up. Letting that anger and that frustration and all those things come up and trusting that, this is what's needed. We need to follow our heart. So it's definitely a time of trusting ourselves. Okay, and we have communication. Now, with Mercury retrograde, look, there's just too much illusions and delusions in communication at the moment, but I think this is more relating to the internal communication. What do we need to be saying to ourselves? What healing does needs to take place within communication? What do we need to analyze and pull apart and understand about communication? The communication that we've had, the communication with ourselves. So it is definitely a time to be communicating with ourselves, communicating to our higher self, communicating to the spirit realms, and, what connections we have on an intuitive level. Okay, so we have the dream. Something is revealed, insight and breakthroughs. So, because it is Pisces season and it is so intuitive and the veils are a lot thinner, it is a time of paying attention to our dreams. Our dreams can be rather radical and weird and not make any sense, but there are certain aspects about dreams that you can, Google and look at a dream dictionary and find out what that means for you. So yes, it is definitely a time to be paying attention to our dreams. Whether it's a dream that we want to see in our lives, whether it's a dream we had from sleep, whatever it is, we need to be paying attention to our dreams and doing something about it in some way. Okay, and lastly, we have Ocean of Eternal Love, Healing, Creativity, and Fertility. So it is a time of new. It's like a cosmic internal renewal. And in a way, what would you say? Pisces is unconditional love. And understanding that all the things that we've lost over the last 2 years or the last month or whatever it is, we are always connected to those things. We will always have a connection. Nothing ends. Things just transform. So if you love someone and you've been hurt or you've experienced some kind of loss, you will always love that person or love that situation, and that connection will always be there. It's just a matter of surrendering and letting it go and watching it transform into something new. And I think that is what this whole, time is about, is just allowing for that transformation. It's only our 3D reality where we, expect all these structures to be how we want them to be, but on the cosmic realm, that just doesn't make any sense. We're here to just experience life and watch things transform, because nothing ends and nothing begins. Everything is just a constant ebb and flow of transformation. So it is just a cosmic dance for all of us, really. So just know that whatever you've lost, over the last few months or the last few years, the things that needed to go. And, you know, transformation is happening within all of us, and we just have to be open to the new, you know, open to what's more exciting and what's more connected to us. There is no point staying stagnant and in situations that aren't serving us. You know, if, you know, you've been in a relationship where, you know, you've been doing the work on yourself and your partner's not growing, your partner's not going anywhere, then that's not serving you. You need to be able to move forward and just trust that, you know, in some way, you know, maybe in another lifetime or this lifetime, you know, that situation will transform, and then maybe your paths will cross again, or maybe that cycle is completely at an end. But at the end of the day, you know, it is all about unconditional love. That is what Pisces season is about. And we've all kind of felt that in some way. We've all kind of felt that unconditional love and connection to everything that is around us. So yes, that pretty much wraps up the card reading for this video. Okay, so I'm going to be wrapping up the video, but I just wanted to say at this time is that I hope that everybody is just being really, really self-loving. You know, some of the things that I do is just wake up in the morning and just do like a self-love journal, a gratitude journal, you know, listening to beautiful music, you know, anything that you can do to feel comfortable in your own skin, to feel like you're in a good place internally. It is so harsh and rough, and, you know, everything is so uncertain. There is so much chaos. There is so much rubble and dust and, you know, ruins everywhere. And all we can kind of do is just come home to ourselves and find peace there, and, you know, especially process what needs to be processed at the moment. There is just so much of our wounding being exposed, and the truth coming out in certain situations where we've maybe had attachments that don't serve us, and we really need to be going internally, you know, not being victims, not blame pointing, but looking at how we've contributed to that. You know, looking at, you know, what wounding do we have that made us attached to certain situations or certain circumstances or people, you know, and why it's so heartbreaking and why it's so hard for us to let go of these things, you know, and understanding as well, there's, you know, while it is such a magical and mystical time and we're so intuitive, this also brings out like, you know, really negative entities, you know, narcissism and things like that. We can be seeing that at a really, you know, high level at the moment, you know, especially with all the action in Capricorn, and then Jupiter that's going to be meeting Pluto and Saturn very soon. We're going to be seeing more of this, you know, full power narcissism coming up to be reviewed. And, you know, I've done a few videos on narcissism, and I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, we need to just be pointing fingers at that narcissist and saying you're the problem. You know, we're also the problem, you know, even though this is a toxic person and somebody that just doesn't operate, you know, that operates from a really wounded standpoint, we need to be looking at our own wounds, because if we're attaching ourselves to narcissists, we're just as toxic, because we're self-sabotaging ourselves, hurting ourselves. So we can't just be blame pointing. We need to be really checking our own energy, you know, making sure we're putting ourselves in really energetically beautiful positions and not hurting ourselves. So yeah, it's a really important time for self-reflection and looking at our role in things and where we're wounded and why we connect to certain things. So yeah, look, it is just a time for massive, massive, massive self-care, you know, using our intuition, moving into the new, and in some way accepting what is, surrendering and letting go. And, you know, that is, you know, it's not just mental, it's not just physical, it's emotional, it's all those things in one. So we might be physically letting go and detaching, but we're still mentally focusing on it and mentally going round and round and round, or we might be emotionally doing it. So we really just need to just let go, accept what is. And I think that's the best way of letting go, is to accept what is, you know. Let go of the idea and the fantasy and what we wanted to happen, and accept what is right now. There is no point going back into the past and searching for information. You know, even though it is Mercury retrograde, we do need to be doing that, but we can't be getting too stuck in those past dynamics. We need to just really just be like, okay, cool, this makes sense now. I understand my role. All right, let's just let it go. There's no point ruminating on, all this stuff. And I know it is hard because we're all coming in like inside ourselves. We're all probably wanting to spend more time, at home or in our room on our own. But it's definitely not a time to just be, going over and over and over and things. We just need to let it go on every level, especially energetically, and, shifting our focus. The best way to shift our focus is to do something we're passionate about. So, start that new thing, start that new project, go and paint, go and start that new hobby, do whatever it is, because when we put our, our energy into our passions and our creativity, this is the most fulfilling thing. This is when we're most fulfilled. So definitely it's a time for just transforming this energy and putting it into the new. So I do honestly hope that everybody is okay, that everybody is on the path of moving forward and releasing the past. I hope you all have a fantastic new moon in Pisces.